Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 17th day of May 2024. And indeed, it is my pleasure to be in your company once again. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and of course, I'm here, well, I want to say every Friday afternoon from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. But as circumstances are sometimes, I am not here, but of course it is always my intentions to come here at 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. Well, I'm here this afternoon, was absent last Friday, and I'll get into that later, but it's absolutely good to be back with you once again. And indeed, we start off the program by, sending out greetings and welcoming all of the listeners, whether you're here locally or abroad. So we normally go around the island of Nevis and touch all of the constituencies, St. James, St. John's, St. George's, St. John's, St. Paul's, St. Thomas Parish. Did I miss anyone? So St. James, St. George's, St. John's, St. Paul's, and of course St. Thomas Parish. Let's get it right. So I am welcoming everyone who are tuned into the Von Radio at this point in time, 8:60 a.m. And of course you can get Von Radio on the FM dial, 93.7 FM. And yes, we can go further afield because we do have listeners and of course viewers down there in St. Kitts. So I want to welcome all of our brothers and sisters who have tuned in or have joined Von Radio online platform of Facebook or YouTube. Indeed, I also want to welcome all of our listeners down there in Statia, Sabre, St. Bart's, of course. We have some divisions there. And no doubt we have listeners down there in the French and Dutch St. Martin. And of course we have quite a number of persons from the St. James area who reside down there in St. Martin and St. Martin. Well, one is French side, one is Dutch side. So you figure out the pronunciation, but we sometimes say St. Martin, and that's it, and you move on. So welcome everyone down there. Of course, I want to welcome all of our listeners down in the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm talking about Tortola Beef, Virgin Gorda, and the likes there in the British Virgin Islands. And of course, the U.S. Virgin Islands, which include St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John's. Indeed, we have listeners in Puerto Rico as well. I want to welcome all those who are listening there, all of the Nevisians and Kidditians who are there. Welcome to this program, and of course your support as always to Von Radio. And of course up in North America, we're stretching our arms and voices all the way up to Vermont and Maine and New Hampshire and those states way up in the Northeast. And we can come all the way back down the eastern seaboard down to South Florida, Key West, and into the Midwest and over into the West. Of course, they're morning there at this time. I believe they're about 3 or 4 hours behind us in California, Oregon, and Washington states. Of course, you can go into Hawaii. Yes, of course, we have citizens who are living over in Hawaii. I know of two persons, yes. So we have citizens there as well. Alaska, I'm sure if you search Alaska inside out, you'll find someone there from St. Kitts or Nevis. And if you're listening, I say welcome. Indeed, the entire stretch of Canada, from the west coast of Canada all the way across to the eastern portion of Canada, I say welcome to all of our citizens who are listening. And then up in Europe, England, France, Germany, Denmark, Scotland, wherever you are throughout Europe and into Asia. And of course, yes, I've covered the entire globe because we have persons throughout the entire globe. One person might be there in a particular country, but of course you have many in other areas, so I welcome you. We spend time doing this. It might seem monotonous in some way, but we spend time doing it because of course our listenership and viewership is important to us. They are important to us, and of course we cannot have a radio station or any public media house unless you have supporters in many ways, whether it's through advertising, whether it's through the listenership, and then from the listenership it translates into other forms of business that can be created as well. So everyone is important, no matter where you are and whoever you are. we want to welcome you and thank you for taking the time out to be a part of the programming that is programming that is offered by Von Radio through its various platforms and so forth. So, welcome. That being said, of course, at this time of the program, we normally would express our condolences and sympathies to families that are in the bereaved column. And of course, we do have a number of families out there that are grieving at this point in time. And I want to start, first of all, by expressing my sympathies and heartfelt sympathies, that is, to the family of Mr. Charles, we say Cat. Those of you who know him as Cat, you probably don't know this gentleman as Charles, but we know him as Cat going up. So Charles Cat Didder, that is the brother of Leonora, Derek, and the whole family over there in Newcastle. I want to express sympathies to all of you on the passing of your brother, and of course persons like Glenroy Skeet. You all know Glenroy Skeet. That's Turkey. Those of you in New York who know of Bunks. We like nickname, you know. It's a part of our culture. So sometimes we don't know a person's correct name until they pass sometimes, because you're so accustomed to calling their nickname that you just remember them by that name. So all of those folks who are grieving at this time, family members and the entire Newcastle community, we are joining with the family and providing the support that is needed at this time. Cat was an avid diver. Well, before that, let's say he was a footballer. I recall the days when he was a regular fixture on the Newcastle football team. That's before you had the extension or expansion of the Van Samre International Airport, when that playfield was at the eastern end of a shorter version of the runway as it is now. And that's where the playfield was. And I remember going there and playing football, Brickhill against Castle. Newcastle used to come to Charlestown and play in the park, and really guys like Iroy, Iroy Pinney, Derek himself, Billy Quealy, and all those guys used to make up the Newcastle football team. A lot of people will say I'm not calling their names, but I can recall many of the guys who played for the Newcastle football team, like Morris Gums and those guys who were very good footballers and really made a name for themselves in Grove Park. And Cat was one of those players as well too. Of course, once you would have grown up in Newcastle, you have a love for the ocean, and a lot of the young men over there would have gone to the beach or gone further out into the ocean to fish, shoot, or throw out a line or whatever. Well, Cat was one of those guys who loved to go out on a daily basis or regular basis, and had done his fishing that way. And of course, it was something that he did up until his passing. So he passed, I believe it was last Tuesday, I believe, yes. And when we got the news, it was quite unfortunate, but it is one of those things that you don't expect to hear, but you hear it anyhow, because things do happen from time to time. So the funeral service for Cat will be next Saturday over there at the Combermere Methodist Church. And of course, if you can, those of you who can, come out and support. I know the community over there is normally out in their full numbers to support the grieving family, so I expect to see many of you attending that funeral. And of course, while I'm over in that area, I also want to speak of the passing of I was going to say Mr. David Jones, but I want to say Pastor David Jones, if you please. That was his name. I don't want to say Mr., because from the time I was a little boy, I knew him as Pastor Jones. As a matter of fact, I attended his church when I was a little boy with my grandmother. I was raised by my grandparents, of course, and indeed we went there on a Sunday, went back on a Sunday night. We went back during the week for prayer meeting. And I used to love going to prayer meetings, not to pray, but I had to go because my grandmother would take me along, and whether I wanted to go or not, I had to journey down to Libert Hill with my grandmother. And especially at prayer meeting, I love when the opportunity came to go down on your knees to pray. You know why? Because Pastor Jones used to pray long and hard long prayers. So I used to go down on my knees and put my head on the bench, fall asleep, and wake up after the praise done, you know. So that's a little bit of humor. But that's when you're young, coming up. That was before I was 10 years old, but I recall those days. And the church service were long. But they were, I'm sure, many of the persons who attended would have had their spirit filled with all of the Holy Ghost and all of the chanting and all of the music and all of the clapping and all of the preaching and everything. So Pastor Jones was one of those pastors who really, he believed in his God. He served his God right up until the very end. And I know he is with, he's in a better place, of course. And I would want to think that he would have done what he had to do here on earth in order to be among the kingdom, those in the kingdom when the time comes. Now, I want to express my sympathies, of course, to his wife, Marcella Jones, and also the children, 2 daughters, Ayana and, look, I'm forgetting, Anya. Yes, and Jarice as the only son. 3 children. They are certainly grieving at this time on the passing of their dad. But I've always said that there are 3 phases to life. Born, you live, and you ultimately will die. But it's the most difficult phase when that comes, when someone has to go. But Pastor Jones, we are listening up. I believe they would have indicated that his funeral service, I believe, is the 6th of June, if I'm not mistaken. But we have some time. We'll listen up for the exact day, time, and everything, so we can provide the support that is needed. Not only Pastor Jones, though, we have had some passings, of course. Indeed, up in Brick Hill, we had the passing of Miss Ann Brandy. That is the mother of Ted Sabu Brandy. You all know that Calypsonian. You think he's the best, you know. Sabu would tell you all of his calypsos are a hit. But anyway, Sabu, that's his mom, who would have passed some time ago. And I believe the funeral service as well is on the 25th of May. But that is up there at the First Baptist Church in Maddens. So we have a clash there in St. James, but both services will be held at the same time, but we'll have to figure out a way. But indeed, Anne Brandy would have grown up in the Brick Hill area and then migrated. But I will say this, that even if someone was not well known to all of us in terms of working in the civil service, working in the private sector here on Nevis, or any of such things, their legacy will live on through their offspring or through their children. And of course, Sabu, we know he was a police officer. He served in the Royal Mounted Police Force, if I can recall, some years ago. He also would have served in the St. Kitts Nevis Police Force as well, the Royal St. Kitts Nevis Police Force. And also he have his own business, of course, a security business. I just said that he's a Calypsonian, and I'm sure he'll be contributing to the 50th anniversary this year. He has something out, I'm sure, by now. So, Sabu, because of the talent and the genes you would have inherited from Anne, your mom, then of course you're making your contribution, or contributions that she may not have made. You are making those contributions, and as such, the overall development of the island of Nevis and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and further afield was as a result of you being born to a wonderful lady, Anne Brandy, and you're making your contribution, and we thank you for that. We'll come and support you accordingly next Saturday, the 25th of May. So may your soul continue to rest in peace. And of course, we have had the passing of Mrs. Lucille Walwyn down there at Penny's. You know that gas station down there at Penny's next to TDC, where Mrs. Walwyn passed. She was, 95 years old. And I've known Mrs. Walwyn for many, many years, and here's why. My grandfather used to work for her husband, who is now deceased, Mr. Eugene Walwyn, a famous, prominent lawyer who, lived here on the island and served in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But he was one of those lawyers who made his mark. He had a nickname as well. They used to call him the Bull. But he was a very robust type of lawyer, very aggressive, you know. But Mrs. Walwyn, I've known her since I was a little boy, because my grandfather worked for them as a laborer up there in Libert you know, the Libert Estate. Those people from the Rollins area, from Gingerland, would know of Libert Estate. And indeed, my grandfather worked as a laborer and a self-proclaimed security guard for Mr. Walwyn. Well, he was one of those security guards who never had anything more than a flashlight, and in his waist he had what he called Moses' Law. You know, it wasn't a gun though, I can tell you that much, because back in those days, guns were not as prevalent as they are now, but you had a flashlight, you had a Moses Law, as he said he had, and also a mouth. So people used to chat a lot, you know, so people used to free his mouth. But that is the security that he provided for Mr. Walwyn then. And I can recall we used to go up to Libert, let's say on a Sunday afternoon. We all would pack into this mini moke that was owned by my uncle there over there. What's his name? Myron Jeffers. Yeah, this mini moke. I think it was P1604 or P1603. One of those numbers, but whatever it was a reddish mini moke. I learned to drive in that same little mini moke as well. You like going down in the yard and just touching the brakes and letting the vehicle roll a little bit and stop it, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, I remember those good old days. But we used to go up to Libert on a Sunday afternoon to take up lunch and take up clean clothes and everything for my grandfather, sorry. And indeed, when we get to this hill, I believe, Banibis Hill? Well, I want someone to correct me. There's a steep hill as you pass Golden Rock Hotel heading up towards Libert Estate. We couldn't make it up in the vehicle. Too many of us were in that vehicle, and it was a steep hill, so you know we had to get out and walk up that hill, and then my uncle would drive up behind us in this mini moke, and then we get back in when we get up to the top, you know, to get across the Libert Estate. Boy, those were some good old days. I'm reminiscing now. There's a reason why, because those were the days of our upbringing. Solid days, good foundation, and good values were instilled in us then. You know, I mean, as young as I was then, I understood what it meant to, one, work hard and also cherish the moment, you know. So that's why I can speak about that now. But Mrs. Walwyn, she would be laid to rest tomorrow, I believe, down there at the Catholic Church, down there at Old Hospital Road, at about 11:30, I believe the announcement I would have heard. So I intend to go and pay my final respect tomorrow, Saturday. So may her soul continue to rest in peace, but through her and her husband, they would have made their contribution to the overall development of the island of Nevis and the Federation, but more so, those days you had statehood anyway. Anguilla, St. Kitts, Nevis, 3 islands under one umbrella. So all those days, Mr. Walwyn would have served in various capacities then, and of course Mrs. Walwyn was alongside him, so both of them would have been there together. So we'll lend our support tomorrow. And of course, last evening or yesterday we learned of the passing of Mr. Lester Blackett. Lester Blackett, all of us would know that name, a very synonymous name and very popular name, and a sporting icon here on the island of Nevis. I know his exploits were in athletics and also football. Can't recall ever seeing him playing cricket. Maybe he did, but I don't know if he had a love for cricket. But I know he had a love for football, and of course his passion was athletics. And there are many athletes who would have passed through the hands of Mr. Blackett, and indeed they would have come to something as a result. Some would have gone on to represent the island of Nevis at the regional level. Some would have gone to universities in the United States and beyond, and have made their impact there because of the exploits and the perseverance of Mr. Lester Blackett. So he would have done so. He was also, I believe he was a director of public works at some point. He was an engineer by training, and I almost believe he served at the planning department at some point as well too. So he had a number of years in the public service here on the island of Nevis, more than 30 years. And of course you cannot underestimate his contribution. There are probably bridges and water course here on the island of Nevis that he would have had some input in terms of his engineering skills, which would have been put to good use to ensure that we had proper drainage, proper bridges, proper road network, and the likes, and even buildings. So I want to express how grateful we are as an island who would have had someone like Lester Blackett to serve. the island of Nevis. He was what, 68 years old, so he lived just short of what we would call the 10. But I mean, when your time come, I suppose it has come for him, and we just want to express all the sympathies and say to the entire family that we are here for you and we are supporting you at this point in time, and may his soul continue to rest in peace. So those are the persons whom I have here on my list as persons who would have passed and the families that are grieving at this time. And I just want to close by saying, may God continue to bless you as a family, provide the strength and comfort that you need at this point in time so that you can overcome these difficult times that you'll be facing at this present moment. May God continue to bless you. Well, let's out of that and into this. I was eager to come here today because, of course, this program is about many things, but today I'm going to spend a few minutes quickly and speak about an activity that we have coming up over there in Brick Hill, in the heart of Brick Hill, come Monday, the 20th day of May. That is Whit Monday. And why I'm so excited about that is because over the last couple of years, we've been having this particular event. It is a medical fundraiser that we would have started about 4 years ago. And why we put on this event is because we saw the need to support persons who are struggling with various ailments and medical conditions. And it is expensive to undertake some of these conditions or to finance some of these conditions. We know we cannot raise the amount of money over there to support everyone, or even for one person we cannot raise the amount of money in one day to support that person in its entirety. But what I'm saying is that little is much, and we normally would go all out to ensure we can raise as much as we can. So last year, as I said before, we would have raised just about $18,000 when it was all said and done in terms of paying up all of those expenses and so forth. And we were able to, split that up among 3 persons last year. And indeed, the year before that, I believe we would have made just under $15,000, and that was split between 2 persons. So last year, for sure, one of the recipients was Mr. Thomas Dorr, and that's a cousin of mine, first cousin as well. And what was so pleasing to me earlier this week is when he called me and asked me, Alexis, you all putting on the event again this year? I said, yes, sir. And he said, you know what? Because of what you did for me last year, I want to give back something. So he said to come and collect a goat. So we got a goat from Thomas, and my heart was filled when Thomas called and said, come for a goat. And you know why? That was him giving back. He received and he gave back something. And you just have to reciprocate these situations. Well, let me put it correctly. You just have to be reciprocate when someone gives you something and you can give back. That is a good thing. And so it was music to my ears when he called and said, come and collect a goat. So we got a goat from Thomas. Thank you very much, Thomas. Now, next week we'll go through all of the names and persons and entities and agencies and companies and individuals, everything next week as to who would have contributed. But this week we are speaking about it in terms of inviting the entire island of Nevis to come over to Brick Hill. Now, if you're driving through in the morning for breakfast, we start at 5 a.m. So you can drive through and get some breakfast, yes. And breakfast will be made up of, your usual egg and saltfish and johnny cake, sausage and bush tea and the like. So we'll have a full menu for breakfast. And you know what? We are hoping to have lunch at breakfast as well, So if you come and you want food, we'll probably have food ready for you at breakfast. So so the transition from breakfast to brunch to lunch will be easy because items will be coming all the time, yeah, because people are preparing these dishes to bring there at different points in the day. So for sure we'll have breakfast, all being well, starting at 5 a.m. Music will be there at that time. The stage is already set over there, tents are up, booths are up over there in the area. You can't miss it at all, right in the heart of Brick Hill. So if you're driving through anytime after 5 a.m., we should have breakfast ready for you. And then, of course, brunch, it would be mid-morning. And then lunch around midday. Lunch go down until whatever time, 3, 4 o'clock, and then we go into a dinner. Because we are there from 5 a.m. until 11 p.m. on Monday with music all day. Now, here are some of the things that you'll get over there. Of course, you'll get the usual goat water. You'll get conch's water. You'll get, your salads, your rice, different type of rice. Whether it's calypso rice, rice and peas, vegetable rice, whatever the ladies intend to cook and prepare. We'll have stewed mutton. We'll have, baked ribs, baked ribs. We'll also have baked chicken, stewed chicken, fried chicken, barbecue chicken. We're hoping to have fish. I want someone to prepare some nice sliced mai in some nice, I don't know what sauce it is, but I want to say unique sauce. I'm not a cook. I can cook, yes, but I can't prepare these things. So if someone is willing to prepare this sliced mai for us in some sort of unique sauce, so when it hits the palate, it goes down well. We'll also have, what else? Man, everything that can be prepared, people are preparing. Johnny cakes, pumpkin pie, banana pie, everything will be there that you normally get elsewhere. Breadfruit and fish. We have some doctor fish over there to serve with breadfruit, or if you want to get it with saltfish, you get it with saltfish, whatever. Listen, I'm already getting hungry, but anyway, I don't want anybody to say I'm taking up the whole time and getting them hungry as well too, because Monday is still some time away, but hopefully you'll come there with a good appetite so that you'll have something to eat. You patronize the food stall, and of course you wash all that down with some drinks, because we have a full list of drinks, whether it's assorted beers, giant malt, Pedrella, ginseng. We have bottled stuff too, the hard liquor. We have all those as well too. And if you're a wine drinker, you get wine too. So all that we're having over there is a full complement of everything. We got a little bit of everything from all of the persons we went out and solicited from. So I am so happy to say that we're on our way, and that is the medical fundraiser coming up next Monday, the 20th day of May, over there in the heart of Brick Hill. And everybody who have contributed thus far, I want to thank you. When I sent out the appeal and said to persons to call me and say what you want to do, people call and they say, listen, I did something last year, coming back again this year with something, and I appreciate that. And those who haven't called me as yet, man, if you want to prepare something home and just bring it for us, we'll be happy to get it sold, because we are shooting for much more than what we got last year, because there are 6 persons we want to contribute to their expenses this year. 2022 we did 2 persons, 2023 we did 3 persons, and we are hoping to double that this year to 6 persons. A little is much, and whatever we make, we can give something to at least 6 persons who we would have identified already. But the thing is, sometimes persons do not want their names to be called, but that's okay. We are not doing it so as to get names being called or anything. I will call the names of the persons if they want me to do so, and I will call the names of the contributors if they want me to do so. But until such time, we continue to press on to do what we have to do to ensure that this particular event is a success, as it has been over the years. And I love the community spirit that exists over there in the St. James area. Butlers, Brick Hill, we've dubbed this as the Butlers and Brick Hill communities coming together to undertake this particular event. I know for sure in terms of the planning, it is Mr. Amoy Nisbet and myself who does the planning itself in terms of putting things together. But in terms of the execution, we need a whole slew of persons to come on board to do so. So we have those persons who have been coming on board annually, and we appreciate that. But it's the Butlers and Brick Hill community that does this, and I want to say thank you to everyone who continue to be a part of this event and to make this event a success, as it has been over the years, and I believe this year will be no different. So we look forward to Monday to put out that effort to ensure that we are making a difference in the lives of the persons who we intend to contribute these funds to. And before I leave that subject, let me just say we're still open for contributions. Anyone who wants to make any type of contribution, whether it's in cash or kind. When I say kind, whether a dish or any raw material that you have, provide it and we'll make sure to turn it into something that can be sold. Okay? So that's Whit Monday, all day in the heart of Brick Hill. And I didn't even say what musical entertainment we're going to have. Yes. You know, this Zimba is always there. He's one of those guys who have told me from day one, Zook, wherever you are coming. So he has come. He is coming to this event to make sure he's holding the fort there for us. And he's going to do the setup and everything. I want to thank, for sure, at this point in time, Mr. Darren Sutton, because, you know, without the infrastructure that he provides, we cannot have this event in terms of the entertainment side of it. And then, of course, all of the other DJs who would come along, DJ Wet Dot, DJ Lalbo, and the band here from Bath Village, what it is called again. I am so sorry. Almost, Ultimate Band, sorry. Ultimate Band, yes. I apologize, Ultimate Band. You're a popular band. It should have been, you know, ingrained in my head. But sometimes you have so many things floating around in your brain. Sometimes you forget. But anyway, Ultimate Band will be late in the afternoon and providing the musical entertainment into the evening. I'm sure they'll come and, you know, play some of their new hits that they want to, you know, captivate the minds and captivate the support. I'll get the support during Culturama. So over there will be a good platform to come and play some of those music. So we have a good lineup in terms of DJs. Of course, Frank and the boys, Frank and Snowflake and the string band and everything will be there. They will entertain us throughout the day, at some point during the day, I should say. And then, indeed, that's pretty much it. Yeah, Frank and Snowflakes, and I think I have some, who else? Well, they say much more. So some of these things will just pop up, you know. Some of the entertainers will just come out, DJ. Or let me say this: if you're a DJ and you're driving through Brick Hill and you have your pen drive, because, you know, people are not walking with CDs now. You know, if you have your pen drive, or if you have, I don't know if we'll have internet service over there, but if you have music up in the cloud, what they call it, somewhere in the cloud, you can download and start to play. I'm being sarcastic, but, you know, that's how you have to do it sometimes. But whatever you do as a DJ, you just come and bring your little pen drive with you, stick it into this system there, and you just play some music and let it be heard and let it be known that you are there. Yeah? Okay, so I'll see everyone. Oh, am I forgetting something? No. Okay, so I'll say we'll see everyone who is someone, and everybody who is somebody is going to be in Brick Hill on Monday to support this worthy cause, this medical fundraiser 2024, put on by the Butlers and Brick Hill communities. Okay, thank you very much. So moving right along, I know I spent just about half an hour touching on all those things, but that is what we're about today, and I'll still come back to that Whit Monday fundraiser because that is important. Okay, moving on to something else quickly. It's now what, about 25 minutes to 1 or to 2, so let's get going. Of course, this is the Whit weekend. Over the Whit weekend, you know, people are moving back and forth. People are going to St. Kitts. People are coming to Nevis from St. Kitts. People have come from overseas and will be in St. Kitts, and so they'll come over to Nevis to get a taste of Nevis, or persons who have come into Nevis for the Whit weekend and would like to go across to St. Kitts. Of course, they can do so. And you know what? Many of them are going to do it through the Uwale water taxi facility over there at Uwale Beach. And the reason why I put it that way is because we have seen over the years that there have been an increase in the movements over there at the Uwale water taxi facility. I believe it is one of the quickest means of getting across to St. Kitts. It is the quickest in terms of time, and I suppose then you have to make your way down into Basti if that's where you're going. If you're just going to Reggae Beach, for example, to support a restaurant over there, then you're off the boat and into the restaurant. If you're coming over to Nevis and you're supporting a restaurant anyway in the area, it's off the boat and into a restaurant. There's one, I believe, just down the road from the Uwale water taxi facility, and one just up the road. from the facility as well. So the point is, though, this weekend is the wheat weekend and people are going to be moving back and forth. And I want to encourage persons to go on out and be safe about your movements, but go on out and enjoy your life. And so if you're coming to Nevis, make sure you come over on Monday and then journey up to Brick Hill and enjoy the event that we're having up there. But I brought up the Uwali Water Taxi facility because, of course, over the period of time that I've been here on the airwaves, I've always kept track of the numbers, the movement of passengers between St. Kitts and Nevis, those who go across to Uwali, across to Reggae Beach, and those who leave Reggae Beach and come to Uwali. So I always keep track of those numbers because it's important to do so. Those numbers are a reflection of not only the impact of the facility having a pier and a building, but also the multiplier effect in terms of coming over and spending $1 at one particular business establishment and what that dollar does and what it is meant to accomplish with the money that is spent at these business places. So I've done the reporting for January, February, March, and I got the numbers recently for the movements of passengers for the month of April. So for the month of April, 30 days, we had a movement of what? 11,667 persons would have left Reggae Beach, not persons, let's clarify, passengers who would have left Reggae Beach and come to Uwali Beach. 11,667 persons. Of course, the passengers leaving Uwali going over to Reggae Beach, 11,496 persons, for a total of 23,163 persons. That is for the month of April 2024. 23,163 passengers would have disembarked the Uwali Water Taxi facility. Yeah? Okay. Compared to last year, the 2023 April, 21,795 passengers would have used these services over there at Uwali Beach. A difference of 1,368 persons. And when I say a difference, that's a positive difference, meaning that an additional 1,368 passengers would have used the services this year, 2024. That is over 2023. Now, for the year thus far, January, February, March, April, I'm going to give you the numbers. So in January, 24,197 passengers. February, 24,075 passengers. And then for March, 26,019 passengers. Indeed, you add April, as I just reported, 23,163 passengers for a grand total of 97,454 passengers. So that is for the 4 months thus far this year. We're just shy of 100,000 passengers using the Uwali Water Taxi facility thus far this year for the first quarter. Indeed, last year, for the first 4 months, we had 80,839 passengers. So we had a positive difference in terms of movement. So there's a difference of 16,615 passengers. So that's an increase of this year over last year, same time. Yeah, 16,615 passengers. So we are growing. The numbers are there to show that persons are using the service. It is one of the best thing that would have happened in terms of transportation here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have transitioned from the good old days of just leaving Nevis at 7 a.m. in the morning and couldn't come back until 4 in the afternoon. We have long gone past those days. We're now over on St. Kitts within 5 minutes, thereabout. At the most, 7 minutes. It all depends on where you go to. But the bottom line is we have seen a tremendous increase in the passenger movement out of Uwali water taxi facility going over to St. Kitts. And with this transformation, what that means is that traveling between the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis have been transformed, and of course it is now an almost instant process where you just go down, and even if it is not a scheduled movement of a boat, you can get a boat and go. Just like Uber service on the water. That's what we call it. Uber service on the water. And it is one that I am always pleased about, because the Nevis Island administration under your CCM government would have certainly sat down and come up with this plan to execute this project. And indeed, it is certainly one of those projects that has had a tremendous impact on the economy of both Nevis and St. Kitts, because people leave in Nevis, these 97,454 passengers that are moving back and forth, it is impacting, or they are impacting both islands in a positive way. Of course, NASPA make money. Of course, the boat owners and operators make money. Employees and employers are impacted positively, because employers get their work done, employees get the work done for the employer and make their money, and they use their money to support themselves and their families. Indeed, hoteliers and guest houses make money. The taxi services over there make money, and also on the other side in St. Kitts as well, car rentals make money. I mean, fuel suppliers and parts for those boats, all of them make money. Customs make money. All of the establishment here in St. Kitts and Nevis, whether it's directly or indirectly, they make money. And of course, I believe there have been quite a number of new businesses that have been established as a result of that particular facility being constructed and operating at this point in time. Social Security, you know, every employee will have to pay some contribution, so at least Social Security is expanding too and collecting their contribution. So it is huge for the island of Nevis and the island of St. Kitts, the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and this particular form and mode of transportation have certainly had its impact here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So we'll continue to push this particular facility, and of course the numbers in Charlestown tend to mirror what is happening over there at I don't think they're very far off, because not everyone would want to use the facilities over there at Ouali, because of course you have to make different arrangements when you get on the other side over there in Reggae Beach to get down into Basti and the likes, or to the airport over there at RLB, that is. Not only that though, on this side of the aisle, on Nevis, well, we have a lot of infrastructure in place for persons coming over, because as soon as you come off of the boat and you don't have any transportation arranged, the taxi operators are there sitting down waiting for you, and in some cases standing up at the gate waiting to welcome you. And not only that, we have had a good system put in place whereby there are dispatchers over there that works for the Ministry of Tourism, and they're there to welcome you and dispatch you or point you to the next available taxi operator. So we are well organized over there at Ouali, and I appreciate the effort of everyone who continue to display the high level of services over there. In some cases, some may say it is not the case, but I want to say to all to lift your game and make sure that you're offering the best service possible, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, you never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. So those who are coming off for the first time, then you want to make sure you welcome them with open arms and tell them, welcome to Nevis, welcome to paradise on earth, yeah? And make sure the service is consistent with what you say, because we can do it. That is the bottom line. We can do it. We continue to prove to the entire world that Nevis is one of the best places here on this earth. And of course the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. But you know, I'm talking about Nevis at this point in time, because when people come and they say good things about Nevis, especially when Neil Long will say my heart is in Nevis or something like that. She didn't say it's in her left side of her chest. He said her heart belongs to Nevis or something like that. I hope I'm quoting her correctly. Be that as it may, when someone speaks from the heart, they're genuine, and what they say must be listened to and must be embraced. And so if they're saying it, I am saying it too, that listen, there's no other place in Nevis I'll want to live, because My heart is in Nevis. My soul is in Nevis, and I am in Nevis, and I ain't going to nowhere else, because here is where the action is at, and here is where I want to be. And I want to welcome all to come to this island, come and enjoy the ambience of Nevis, come and enjoy what we have to offer, because Nevis, in my opinion, is the best place on earth. We can have an argument about that any day, and I'll still come out of the argument saying that Nevis is the best place on earth, no matter what is being said by anyone out there. And I don't care who it is, because if Nevis have done something to any of those out there who are speaking negatively about Nevis, I want to say on behalf of the entire island of Nevis, I'm sorry about that. But you must find something within you to forgive the island for what they have done, well, for what it has done to you. So if the island has done something to you, we're sorry about that. But I want to say to all who are calling on the island of Nevis, when it's all said and done, there are people out there listening. Investors are listening. Potential investors are listening. People who want to visit the island of Nevis are listening. And when they hear all kind of confusion coming out of Nevis, you know what they'll think? They'll say, I'll be better off going elsewhere. But that is not what we are promoting from these microphones, you know, because I want to say to those who are listening and who are thinking about coming, whether to invest, whether to come to spend a vacation, whether you want to come here and find work, because there's work on the island. There's work on the island, and not all of the jobs have been taken up by Nevisians, even though Nevisians can take up these jobs or fill these positions. Not all will be filled by Nevisians, and if there's someone out there who is thinking about coming, well, come, but come with your best behavior, and come ready to contribute to this island. And when you contribute, know that we respect that and regard it in the highest esteem. But Nevis, we're open, just as Nevisians have gone to other parts of the world. Remember, when I started this program, I started all the way, you know, down in St. Kitts, Nevisians are there. Down in Statia, Nevisians are there. Sabre, St. Bart's, St. Martin, US and British Virgin Islands. We have gone to all corners of the globe as Nevisians to contribute to the development of those countries and those islands. So people will come. But I always say, come with your best behavior. And when you come to contribute, we appreciate it, because when you contribute, it therefore means that the island will be developing to the point where we can say to ourselves that we are on par with many others out there. And when people leave the island or the country to come here, it says a lot about us. It says a lot about Nevis. And for those who continue to call down Nevis, I say, shame on you. Shame on you, because you know better. And if it is because of politics, I say, well, in the name of politics, go ahead and call down Nevis if it's your desire. But I am saying to you, from the bottom of my heart, that Nevis is better than all this and all that you're talking about. Nevis is better, and Nevis will be better off if we continue to lift this island up and to say the good things about this island. Because here's what they do. Sorry. Talk about water every day. They talk about water, they talk about electricity, they say, oh, electricity rates are going up, water rates are going up. Listen, St. Kitts and Nevis, but more so Nevis, have the cheapest rates out there for utilities. Cheapest in the Caribbean and in the world. Some of the cheapest. But speaking about water, you hear about water every day. You know, the other day I was reading through some information regionally. So you know, there is some bulletin out and suggesting that we'll have some drought conditions up until, say, the end of September or even into October. But most of the months of August and September apparently are predicted to be difficult months for rainfall, that is. That being said, you know, in St. Lucia I read something. St. Lucia is passing legislation, you know, where they're going to pass legislation or regulations to govern or to ensure that citizens are being responsible with the usage of water. And they're going to fine or charge persons who abuse the usage of water, if I were to put it that way. I'm paraphrasing because I'm not seeing the document in front of me, but I know for sure I read it, that St. Lucia will be charging persons. So they have now said that you cannot use water for washing cars, You cannot use water for watering lawn and garden. You cannot use water to fill swimming pool. You cannot use water, well, potable water that is, in a non-potable way. Meaning, of course, if you have to use it to cook, drink, that is acceptable. But if you're seen abusing or using water in a non-potable way, you will be fined. You will be charged. Imagine that. Now we lose water for what? A few hours in Nevis, and there's an upheaval, an uproar. But rationing of water is a part of the management of a resource that is no longer as plentiful throughout the world. Some countries maybe have flood condition right now, but before the flood condition, you know, in Dubai, I understand the other day they went and did something about some rain clouds, whatever they put up in the atmosphere, and they got more than they bargained for. They got more than they bargained for, but their countries right now, water is certainly not as plentiful as it used to be. In Nevis, water is not plentiful, that is true. But it is not as scarce as many other countries. But if you have to manage the scarce resource or the limited resource or whatever resource you have, then you just have to manage it to the point where it is available to us when it is needed. And so, at nights, for example, between the hours of 8 and to 5 in the morning, if there is some rationing or there is some outage at that point in time, it is done that way because it is understood that during those hours, water is not in as higher demand as it would be at this time of the day, for example. But we just have to understand that the situation that we face right now will not be one that will be there forever, because of course the Nevis Island administration have said, and they have been making all of the efforts that has to be exerted at this point in time to ensure that we're seeking to drill more wells. And of course over in the Butlers area there are a project that is being undertaken over there to a desalination project, that is to provide additional water to the people of Nevis. So I will say that water is a difficult thing, yes. We get some intermittent rain from time to time, but when it's all said and done, I want to say that at least the effort is being made to manage the resources that is available to us at this point in time. And indeed, between the hours of 8 or 9 to 5 a.m., 9 p.m., sorry, to 5 a.m., there is some outage, yes, but it is all done to ensure that the system is being replenished so that during the day, when we need water, we have water. These are not the countries where you hear water being out for 4 days, 5 days, a week. People haven't seen water. People are seeing water every day or using water every day, but at least the point in time during that day when some outage will come. I've had my challenges as well too, but I don't complain because, you know, prepare accordingly. If you have some of those gallon bottles, just fill some up. If you have to use one at some particular time, you use it. So we just have to adjust to the situation that we find ourselves in. It's not a perfect world out there, yeah? Anyway, so irrespective of what is being said about Nevis, my Nevis is in a good shape right now. Under the leadership of the Honourable Mark Brantley. You know, a lot of things might be said about the leader of Nevis or the Premier of Nevis, yeah? But I'll tell you something, yeah? I have known Mark Brantley for many years, many years, from the days of sixth form until now. And I want anyone out there to come and argue with me and challenge me about any leadership of the island of Nevis, because when I look on the other side, I don't see none. I don't see anyone over there who can take this island the way it is now and take it any further than where it is. Because we're out there talking about, oh, change. Change to who and to what? And let's be honest, change to who and to what? If you're on a pathway of progress, why would you want to change course? Listen, those out there who are talking about change and want to jump into a situation that the CCM, under the leadership of the Honourable Mark Brantley, has been working over the years to undo some of the things that were done to this island between the years 2006 and 2013. And don't come and tell me we can't go back there. We're going back there, you know. because someone cannot live for their entire life and then up to the age of 40 when they squander all their money, look in their bank account, don't see anything and hope to what? Live a good life thereafter. It doesn't happen that way. You have to be saving. You have to be cutting and contriving, as the old people say. You have to be doing the things to ensure that you have sustainability in your island and in your economy. So those were the things being done prior to 2006. NRP came in, and all of the institutions in Nevis, NHLDC, NEVLEC, Water Department, all of the institutions, healthcare, everything went downhill thereafter. And I'm not telling one lie, it's the truth. All of us lived through it. They even mash up the electoral process when they take out people's name off the voters list, when they realized they couldn't win an election. People were said to be dead when they were alive walking the streets of Charlestown. The things that NRP would have done to the island of Nevis. Boy, listen, NRP, I think you should go and hide yourself for a little bit, yeah? A little bit more. Because when it's all said and done, we have never gotten anything out of NRP since 2006. And that is why the people of Nevis continue to reject the NRP. And they'll reject them again, you know. Reject them again. But whatever shenanigans went on in the last election, we are up to what you have done, and we are watching, and we have taken notes, and I won't say anything else. But I will tell you, I am so happy that this CCM party is being led by the Honourable Mark Brantley. This island is being led by the Honourable Mark Brantley, and there's no influence from outside of the island of Nevis, from St. Kitts, for example, where we know the NRP, all of their strategy, all of the tune that they sing comes from across the waters. Everything come from across the waters, because you know the leadership is as weak as it can be. And I would tell the leader of the NRP this: you can continue writing for now. I'll get to you at some point, right? But let me tell you this, right? Even in your party, they don't like you, you know. You're only being pushed because you're the one who is the leader, of course, so you jump up behind the leader, but they don't like you, my dear. And I told you already that they didn't embrace your dad, and they ain't gonna embrace you either, because the evidence is there to show. And I won't go too far with this at this point, you know, but we're going to talk more about it as time go by. But I'll tell you this much, Janice, they don't like you in your party. And when the attempt was made to get rid of Cleone from the party, Honourable Cleone Simmons, it was done not anyway, you know. Let me not go no further. This is not a show for that type of politics. I was talking about the with Monday event. So let me go back to that. Because we're going to get jiggy one day, you know, and start to talk some politics, you know, because all the noise that is being made out there, that noise they ain't about Nevis, you know. It is not about Nevis. You could make all the noise you want, but when it's all said and done, the question I have for the NRP, what is your prescription for the development of Nevis? Because you could criticize everything that CCM has done or is doing, but what is your prescription for the development of Nevis? When I look at all of them out there who make it noise, all they're looking for is a paycheck. Is a paycheck they're looking for, because none of them have a business that is successful. None of them are working at this point in time as well. None of them are seeking employment. None of them are doing anything to push any young man or young woman here on the island of Nevis. They're not doing anything to move the needle in terms of bringing about anything of substance to the island of Nevis. But they criticize every single thing that the CCM has done or the CCM is doing. But the CCM have been doing well in healthcare. We've been doing well in terms of employment, because you see a lot of requests have been put out there for employment, and a lot of them haven't been taken advantage of, because people are working, people are out there hustling, people are out there. Well, if someone have 2 or 3 jobs, more power to them. The NRPC different, you know. They say people shouldn't have 2 or 3 jobs. Well, how are you going to survive if you don't have jobs? You have to work as many jobs as you can, because if you have a plan, and you want to accumulate some finances, how you going to get it? You're going to work for it. So NRP is talking negative about people having 2 and 3 jobs. Well, what's wrong with that? If I could get 4 jobs done in a day, I'll do it. But the day is only 24 hours, so really and truly, I work what I can. But more power to those out there who are hustling. I love hustlers, you know. Go and hustle. Forget about the NRP and the foolishness, because they don't have the intention to work. All they have is an intention to grab a paycheck if they want to get into government tomorrow. If, and I say a big if. And I'm saying to the people of Nevis, do not be dissuaded by anybody who don't have any ambition to work, any ambition to start a business, any ambition to encourage you to do the right thing in the island of Nevis. And I went off track a little bit, but let's get back on track. Come out and support us. We're running out of time. Come out and support us over there in Brooklyn, in the heart of Brick Hill, on Monday the 20th of May, starting at 5 a.m. We go down until 11 p.m. thereabout, where we'll be selling food, drinks, and everything all day. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, and late dinner as well too. So we're there all day. Music will be there. People will be there. And all of us will go out there and have a good time while we're supporting a worthy cause. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. That's my quota for today. It has been a pleasure being here. I digressed a little bit, but sometimes you get jiggy, But anyway, let me just say that it was my pleasure being here. This is a long weekend for us to spend time with our friends and families and have a good time. I want you all to be safe. Be safe, and those of us out there who create mischief from time to time, please be on your best behavior this weekend, and let us all have a wonderful time here on the island of Nevis. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend. Go to church on Sunday and praise your God if you do go to church. But when it's all said and done, just go on and live your life and live a decent life and make sure that you're doing the right thing for yourself and your family. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. May God continue to bless us all. Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
It is now a minute moving away from